Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to the Treehouse live stream for April 28th, 2017. Another week, another Friday, another, I don't know, step closer to something. So, how's everybody doing? Y'all ready to watch me not know what I'm doing for a couple hours? Cuz that's how it's going to be today. We're gonna. I put up a poll asking if people would be interested in me doing a learning Rust series, and it got a lot of support. A lot of people wanted to see it, so I guess that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna spend a week or two, three, I don't know, whatever. We're gonna learn Rust, so y'all can learn it with me. As I don't know what I'm doing in Rust, I'll be going slow. So you can go and you can code along with me, hopefully, and we'll all work together and we'll learn this nifty language. So yeah, how's everybody doing? Are we good? You can see me, you can hear me? We got sight and sound, everybody. I can see a few people in chat. How's everybody doing? Sammy is ready. Good job, Sammy. I'm glad you're ready. Glad you're here. So yeah. So here's my idea. We built a while back. We built together a. I don't think I have it on this computer. I think it's on my Mac. We built a Python command line tool that went to like Weather Underground and fetched the forecast or the current weather. I think it was the current weather for a zip code, right? So what I want to try to do, is to rebuild that, but in Rust. So let me make sure I've got my title right here on this stream. I do. Okay, so it's learning Rust. Okay, cool. So I want to try and build that using Rust and see what we can do. I think it's possible. I think it's a thing we can build, and I think it's a thing we can build in 1 2-hour session in 1 week, and then next week we'll start with something else. Eventually, I want to play around with either Nickel RS or Rocket, both of which are web frameworks for Rust. So we can build a website using Rust, because the web is where I'm the most comfortable. That's where 100% of my history is on the internet. So I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to system stuff, which is why Rust is great. So Mohammed has asked, what is REST for? So REST is a different thing. REST is a way of doing like HTTP APIs using HTTP methods like push or put, post, get, delete, things like that. We're not doing REST at this point. We're doing Rust, which is a programming language. If you haven't seen Rust is pretty cool. It's a language that was designed and built by Mozilla, the people who make Firefox. And it's a very efficient, very safe as far as memory and threads and stuff like that go, programming language for use as a systems language. So it's not meant to be a GUI language. You wouldn't build GUI applications in it, although you can, as evidenced by, Firefox. And you wouldn't necessarily use it to build like mobile apps or anything like that, but you would use it for like, oh, I need to do this kind of work on my computer, or things like that. So it's really cool. It's you effectively would use Rust any place that you would use like Java, that you'd use C, that you'd use those kinds of languages. You can use Rust. So let's start with a really simple example before we start playing with the sorry, before we start playing with the API. So I'm going to make a Rust one. So first of all, let me talk about what I've got going so that y'all can follow along if you want. So if you go and look for rustup, there it is, rustup.rs. So if you go and you install this rustup.init, whatever, it'll be appropriate for your operating system. If you go and install this, then you'll have Rust available, and you can pop open a terminal. Sorry, that font's a little small there. And you can do like Rust C, and it will give you this output. And you'll probably be able to do cargo as well, and it'll give you this output. So cargo is similar to pip for Python, but it's also similar to Python for Python, in that cargo can run and build your projects and things like that. Okay? So, yeah. Rust C is the compiler. Rust compiler, Rust C. And then cargo is this runner thing, and then crates.io, that's it. This is Rust's equivalent to PyPI. And so Sumya Singh has asked, any websites currently using Rust? I don't know if any websites are or not. I know Rust gets used back behind the scenes a lot. You wouldn't necessarily know that a website was using Rust, right? I know it's definitely being used on for like desktop apps or not desktop apps, but desktop services and things, and server services and things, if that makes sense. So yeah, no, it's definitely a used language. It's a great language. Like I said, it's from Mozilla. Mozilla uses Rust pretty heavily. Kind of like how Google uses Go quite a bit. Mozilla uses Rust. So yeah, it's definitely a cool language. And if we end up doing a couple of projects and we don't like it, that's cool. We'll use something else. So I'm going to do a new project. I'm going to do a new Rust project. And what's kind of weird is I have to keep telling IntelliJ where my Rust installation is, which that's just strange. But whatever, that's fine. I can do that. So this first one, let's just do something simple. Let's just do I don't know. Let's just call it Rust Playground. And maybe we'll do a couple of different things in here. And so I don't promise to be writing good Rust code. In fact, I promise to be writing horrible Rust code. But a friend of mine is in chat. Y'all see the OMN there in the Twitch chat. He's a good friend of mine. He does quite a bit with Rust. He knows tons of things about Rust. He's a Rust expert. So he's going to be here to correct any of my problems. Hey, Marine, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. All right, so this is our most basic Rust program, right? This is our hello world. So if we run this, we get that it's going to compile, and it just prints out hello world, right? So we use this printline macro, and that prints out whatever string we put in, right? So we could change this to stream, and we could run, I don't want to add anything, and we could run hello, we get that, we get hello stream, right? Oh, you suggest doing cargo init and then opening it in IntelliJ. Let's see what that does differently. Just for comparison's sake. Should help with not having to tell the ID. Yeah, I can see that. So let's actually, we'll close that. Yeah, go ahead, exit that. And we will delete our Rust playground. Yep, you can delete all of those. I don't have right to remove. Wait, what? Okay. That's fun. I'm gonna delete it anyway, though, whether you want me to or not. Look at that, it's gone. It's deleted. Oh no, what will you do now? Okay, so cargo init bin for a binary or lib for a library. So I'm gonna do this with a binary because that's what I want it to compile for now. And we do like Rust playground. Okay, and then we've got Rust playground. So then let's hop over here to IntelliJ. And so IntelliJ, you might be thinking like, oh, that's a Java IDE, and it totally is. But it is currently it seems to be the best of the IDEs as far as working with Rust is concerned. And you know, it's a pretty good IDE anyway. So, all right, so let's check this out. So I have basically the exact same stuff. And I have a main.rs file, which looks exactly the same. And, yep, it knows where my standard library is, so that's cool. And if I run it, then I still get hello world. All right, great. So let's do... Why did it reformat? Let's do something... let's just print out numbers for a minute. So, where's my Rust? That's not what I was looking for. That's not what I was looking for either. Let's just go to documentation. The book. There we go. All right, loops. So, we have three kinds of loops in Rust. We have loop, which runs forever. It's just an infinite loop. We have while, which runs until a condition is no longer true. And we have for, which runs for a set number of time. Right? So that's the way that we can do loops. We have three different loops that we can do. So let's start by doing just I don't want any of that in version control. Okay, so let's do wow. So let's do a loop that we just we'll loop through a bunch of numbers, and we will print out whatever the number is times 2. So 4, and then what's cool is we basically get the like a for expression just like we would in Python. So we'll say for I in 1 ... 50 println something I times 2. So if we run that, we get our numbers times 2, right? Because 1 times 2 is 2, and 49 times 2 is 98. So cool, that's nice. Now, something I want to point out is up here at the top we had this compiling thing. If we run it again, we didn't compile a second time, right? We compiled that binary, and then it just runs that binary until something changes. So that's nice that we don't have to constantly recompile. So that means we get much faster times. Now, we can also tell it to do this as release instead of dev effectively, and it will not do it. It will not do it. It'll run even faster. It won't be using the debug info here, and it won't be running unoptimized. All right, so that's our simple for loop. That's the way that works. So what else would we want to do in Rust? I mean, Rust does a ton of stuff, and a lot of it I don't know. Welcome to Programming with Kenneth, where Kenneth doesn't know what he's doing. Let's start with like a struct. I don't know that we're gonna need structs, but let's start with one of these. So it lets us define a like a new data type. So let's make a new struct. And y'all remember how, I don't know if you've done I don't know if any of y'all have done my object-oriented Python course yet, but the new one that just came out. But at the end of that, we build Yahtzee, or something similar to Yahtzee. And so one of the things that we have to do when we build Yahtzee is we need to define what a die is, right? Because we have... I have one right here somewhere. I have a die around here somewhere. Anyway, you have a die. We all know what a die looks like. 6 sides, you know, dots 1 through 6 on it. And a die has a certain number of sides, and we want to be able to roll the die and find out, like, what's inside there, right? Like, what the value is. So let's do that. Let's just do value, and value is going to be between 1 and 6, so we can do this as... well, we can do it as a U8. So a U8 is an unsigned 8-bit integer. And so that'll let us have a small value. We don't need a huge value, right? So we have a die, and it has a value. Now, what we can do now is we can do... here, so let's say let die1 equal die, and then we can give it our value. So this one's going to have a value of 6. All right, so now we have a die. And let's do println, and we're going to print something, and what we're going to print, we'll say die1.value. Okay, and if we run that, we should see 6. No, we didn't. Struct fields should be separated by commas. There we go. We got 6. All right, cool. And let's actually put in a thing here that says die1's value is that. All right, so die1's value is 6. So, cool. We got this. Netherblood, we will eventually use diesel RS. It's going to happen eventually. It's just not happening right now. We'll get there. All right, but a die that has a single value isn't really handy, right? Like, we don't want to define what the value is every time we create one. We want the value to be defined when when the die is created, right? So we need to set the value when the die is created. So that means we have to do an implementation, if I remember correctly. Let's see how much I can look at just, you know, stuff to figure out what it is I need to do. I saw something a while ago that was about new. Where was that? It's somewhere in here. I'm going to find it. Y'all are going to watch me read docs, and it's going to be fine. Because that's what people do when they learn programming, is they read docs. Rust new. Not that. Rust new struct. Structs. Let's look at the basics of Rust structs. Okay, that was it. It was implementation for die, and we had the function new, and that took something. No more constructor, but the convention is to have the default implementation for a struct with a new method that returns a self. Yeah, that was what I saw before. There we go. So it looks something like that. So I don't want it to take any arguments, and it's just going to return a die. And then inside here, we do a die, and we specify the values inside here. So we would say, like, value 6. So now, if I do this, I may have that defined wrong, but let's find out. Yep. Die. Oh, do I have to pub them maybe? And then pub the implementation. Oh, wait, I have to call .new. Oh, look at that. All right. I remembered just enough off of what I've done in the past. All right, so we have this struct called die, which I don't think actually needs to be pub. Let's find out. Yep, still works. Okay, so we have this struct called die, which defines like this custom class, right? So this is our thing that we're going to put whatever we want into it. And then we, for the implementation of die, so how is the struct actually implemented as an object in memory, from my memory there, we define a new function on it named new, which takes no arguments because we don't want to set a value. And it's going to return a die. This is what it's going to return marker. So inside here we create a die instance and we give it a value of 6, right? So then down here, we went to our die struct and we called the new method, assigned that to the variable die1, and we said to print out the value. I think I'm right on all of that. I'm right enough that it's working, so that's cool. So now I want to do a random number. So I'm going to hop into this guessing game code. I'm going to look back at code I've written elsewhere. And the first thing I need to do is I need to come over here to my toml, cargo.toml, and I need to add a dependency. So this is just like adding dependencies to your requirements.txt file, and like you would do in Python, right? So I'm going to add this rand dependency, and 030 is the one I was told to use by like the Rust book. There may be a newer one now, I don't know, but I also don't care at the moment. So what's cool is I don't have to like install this. Rust will go and find it, or Cargo, I'm assuming will, since it's cargo.toml. Cargo will go and find this dependency and install it when it does the compilation. So I don't have to worry about it. So Sergey asked, why Rust? And Dark Dev jokes, why not? That's kind of the answer, is why not? Rust is neat. It's interesting. So I kind of just wanted to play with it for a while and see what we could do in it. What's also cool is there's a large gap in thinking between Rust and Python, but it's not as large as you might think. They're similar languages in a lot of ways. It's also very functional, which I really like. It's got a lot of stuff I think is neat. So I just wanted to try it. I thought you all might want to try it with me. So if everybody hates this, that's cool. We won't do Rust another week. But if people like it, then we will keep doing Rust. And I understand that a lot of you come to watch me just because it's Python, or because it's Python. And I don't always write Python, y'all. I write lots of things. All right, so we have to say that we're using this external crate called rand. So we have to declare that we want to use it. And then to import it, we have to import rand. And then we just want part of rand, which is this RNG class method, I don't know what it is. This RNG thing. So what we're going to do here is we have rand imported, and now instead of hard coding 6, we're going to do rand and then thread RNG, which is the thread-based random number generator. So it's like in this thread, as I understand it. And we're going to generate a number out of a range, and that range is going to be between 1 and 7 because we want 6 to be a possibility. Okay, assuming I got all that right, let's run this and see what we get. So see there, it's compiling libc and it's compiling rand, and then I got something it doesn't like, which is because there just shouldn't be something on the end there, so that it can return that die. And then we get its value as 6. If we run it again, its value is 1, 3, 4, 6. So we're getting random numbers, right? Okay, so that's cool. We've got random numbers now. So as the or Owen, I'm just gonna call him Owen because I can't say the very well. Uh, as he brings up, one of the things that comes up for a lot of people on choosing Rust is security. Um, Rust does have a lot of thread safety and memory security things in it, which make it really nice for writing lower level code. Like you could totally write a bunch of stuff in Rust and use that from like Python. And yeah, like he also points out, you can do like native code and stuff like that, which is nice. One cool thing, if you do Ruby, there's actually native Ruby bindings for using Rust. It's a package that Yehuda Katz put out the other day, or he just announced like a 1.0 of it. That's pretty cool. You can write low-level stuff in Rust, and then you can call it from your Ruby code, and that's really nice to have this thing combined. Okay, so yes, Dark Dev, I know you want me to do C#. I know you do. But I got a surprise for you, Dark Dev. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be gone. I'm going to be at PyCon. So if all goes according to plan, the teacher taking over that stream, or taking over the stream that week, will be doing C#, most likely. So you'll get some C# soon. All right, so we have a die, and we have a thing that will give the die a random number, right? So now what we need to do, though, is we need to be able to find out the value of two dice together. Because if I'm scoring in Yahtzee, one of the ways that I score is by adding dice together. So Owen and I were just talking about this earlier. Was that how it was? Go look at this example you sent me, Owen. So yeah, so we implement the add interface. That's the best way I can think of to describe it for our die struct, for our die class. And then we specify that the output type is going to be a die, because that's what it's going to be, right? And this way we don't have to specify what... We don't have to deal with types while we're inside of like adding these things together. We just know that output is going to be something that's working and viable. Much like we would have like self.object inside of, say, a Django class-based view, and we don't care what the type of object, we don't care what model it is, we just care that it's a model, right? Okay. And if I explained that wrong, Owen, I'm sure that you will address it. So, yeah, so these traits, like add here, these are similar to Python's magic methods. The, like that kind of method, _add. We'd be doing the same kind of thing. Okay, so add is going to take self. It's going to take a die. And then it's going to take something else, which should also be a die. And we're going to return... We're not really going to return a die. That doesn't make any sense. It makes more sense to return, like, another integer. That sound you just heard was me dropping my phone. Sorry. So I don't know if this is gonna work or not. I'm assuming it will because I can see this bool thing here. But I'm wondering if I should leave off the type. I don't know. I'm gonna try it. We're just gonna find out if this works. And if it works, cool. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. So what we want to do is we want to do self.value plus other.value. All right, that's what I want. So now let's do die2 is die : new. And let's change all of these over to 2. And then in here, let's say the total is... And we want to do die1 plus die2. Now, I don't know if that's going to work or not, but let's find out. It didn't. Cool. So, oh, I need standard ops. All right, so use standard ops add. So I have to bring that in. And now let's try it. Still failing. Now, what I love about Rust, and it's kind of funny to love this, but it gives you like a ton of error messages, and that's really handy. So add has an incompatible type for trait. Comments block the editor on mobile for me. JLC2A, I can't change how YouTube displays things. Sorry. I can move the editor over a little bit. And Kareem, no, this isn't Android. This is Rust. Rust is a programming language. So starting here, in any there, expected struct die. Is that because of this thing? Like, note output from type trait. Not all trait items implemented. Okay, so it's missing that. So, oh, there we go. Okay, so we had to specify that add is going to return a U8. It's not going to return a die, even though we're doing adding for the die struct. I'm going to call this a die class at some point. I just want y'all to know what I mean. Dark Dev, the Ludum Dare went okay. The and I are the ones that we did it together. I made some really horrible pixel art. He wrote some nifty code. We got half of a game built, something like that. But it was cool. It was neat. I was glad to get to work with him on it. I didn't write as much code as I probably should have or could have, but I was a little gun shy about doing Rust, and now I'm doing Rust live on camera. So welcome to me making bad decisions. Okay, cool. So we can generate 2 dice, and we can add them together, right? So our total value now is 6. If we were to run this again, we're going to get different values, right? Okay, cool. So the other thing that we need for all of this, for a really ridiculously simple version of Yahtzee, is we need to implement a hand. So we need to be able to roll 5 dice at once. Now, I know we should have the ability to re-roll dice and all that stuff. I don't care about that right now. All I care about is having 5 dice being rolled, and then it tells me how many dice, like what dice I have. All right, so let's do that. So we do a new struct called hand, and we probably don't actually need the new struct hand. We probably need, we specify that this will be a list of dice or whatever, right? So I think struct we can actually, if I remember correctly on this, let's look through this. We can do structs as inheriting from something, right? We didn't publish our game, Dark Dev, so you won't be able to find it anywhere. Sorry. Tuple struct, yeah. Tuple structs have a name, but their fields don't. They're declared with a struct keyword and then with a name followed by a tuple. Right, so, okay. We could almost do that, but... Okay, so I want a struct. I have the struct hand, and it needs to hold multiple dice. And dice should be a list of dice. And I know there's something in here about Ali, I will definitely be doing more about I would definitely be doing more Python tutorials, but not today. Let's just look up Rust list. They're not called arrays in Rust, are they? Oh, okay, maybe they are. Okay, so we make this. It's gonna have I. Right, and so we can put one of each into it. Yeah, I don't want to do a vec though, because vecs are stretch or are. Yeah, I'm gonna try it as this. So I want this to be a mutable array of die, and I want there to be 5 of them. So then hand function new, and what's going to come out of that is a hand. So then let hand equal hand. For underscore in 0.5 hand dot I may be about to have a bad time. I will probably be about to have a bad time, Owen. I am fairly certain I'm about to have a bad time. I just want to put things in. Do I just do like append? Rust lang array append. Would I have less of a bad time, Owen, if I did vec instead of oh, there we go. I could do that, right? Like I could do hand.dice equals die : new. Could I do that? Hand.dice equals if my scores are with internal mutability, notice the fact you want to have a struct with a mutable data structure inside of it. Okay. If you can tell me a better way, then that would be cool. If you can't, then I can move on to something else. Because, yeah, I'm really not sure, like, what I want to do here. Which is cool. It's fun not knowing what I'm doing on something. For and range, match cards, binding, while at. Build up an array in your main and work with it there. Okay, that makes sense. So instead of actually implementing, like, this hand struct, I would just have, like, let hand equal die 5, which is equal to die : new. Something like that. See you later, Dark Dev. Would that be the most? Would that make the most sense there, Owen? I want my die up here to. I don't know. For. Can I do 4 ends? Something like that. Okay. So then can I do like 4 die in hand? Print ln. Die value is die.value. No. Oh, yeah, okay. That's just me having a typo there. See, that's something else. Left-hand expression not valid. Oh, yeah, I think I typed that like way wrong. Yeah, because I don't need an equal here. I need a colon there. Because hand has the type of die 5. Yeah. .iter. Sweet. So we have our dice, and they are 5, 1, 4, 4, and 2. So cool. So we'd want to implement stuff where we could, like add up a bunch of dice, or we could, determine whether or not it scored like for pairs or whatever. But neither of those is something I want to do right now. All right, so that's cool. We built a simple little thing. Let's jump up a notch, and let's go see if we can do a forecast thing. So this will be fun. We'll get to try a whole brand new thing. So let's just call this temperature. Okay, created a binary. Let's open that up. And that can be a new window because I may have to refer to some code. And go into our main RS. All right, cool. So what I want to do here is I want to go to the weather underground and pull down whatever the temperature is for a given zip code or location. And then I want to print that out. Should be fairly simple. Completely famous last words right there, but that's my hope, is that this is simple. So HyperRS is an HTTP implementation. Client and server. So let's look at the client here. So the client will let us do a get, and we can go get whatever URL we want and then send something back. Okay, cool. So first, let's hop over here to our thing here, and let's get request, which I understand is probably a request, but request is funner to say. It's a higher level library. Okay, so okay, cargo, y'all gotta fix that part. Finding these 2 links right here is ridiculously hard. I need to like go submit a patch to cargo for that. So let's look at this one. So using request, I'm gonna have a hard time not calling that request. So we make a request here, and it'll get put into this response thing. And then we unwrap it, which I forget what that does, but I can look that up later. And we make sure that it's a success. And then we have content equals this, and then I'm guessing this read to string comes from read here maybe. And we pull in whatever that content is. All right, so let's try that. That seems easy enough, and I'll trust Owen. So request equal to 0.5.1. Okay. And then I'm assuming I'm going to need the extern crate request and use request. Make sure that compiles. And that has to go and get a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, wow, so much stuff. Okay, so we're gonna talk here for a second. So, yeah. What does everybody think of Rust so far? Like, comments, questions, concerns? What's everybody thinking of Rust? Not of request, of Rust as a language, as a topic. How does that feel to everybody? Also, I need to go to Wonderground and see about their API. Pretty sure I have an account. Yes, I have an account. An external crate named request has already been imported in this module. Has it? Okay, so I don't need the use? Their use is weird. All right. Hey, Indranil, we are currently doing a we're gonna try and do an API thing for the Weather Underground using Rust. So get ready for lots of me not knowing what I'm doing. Extern crate does a use for you. Okay, so the use that I had in here was because I wanted to bring in this RNG part. Okay, I gotcha. If I didn't need that, if I just wanted rand, I could drop that off. Which means I could do like rand RNG like that. I want to test this. Sorry, everybody. I now have to test something. No. Okay. So they have some sort of packaging thing that requires it to be done in a certain way. Okay, I gotcha. I have to do it like this. Okay, that's cool. I'm not worried about that. Okay, so let's just use their example here, just to get familiar with the code that we would write. All right, so we've got this use standard IO read, and then inside here we have like this mutable response variable is request get rustlang.org.unwrap. I don't know about y'all, but I find myself saying rustrang a whole lot, and that's just very weird to me. So this assert bang is a macro that will panic in some sort of way if the assertion fails. So this is just like Python's assert, but similar, but in Rust. So we're making a new string, and then read to string the mutable reference to content. And then here I could do like print line and then content. And if this works, I should see like the contents of that page. Yep, there's the contents of the page. And I got a warning up here. Unused result, which must be used. Okay. So this got a result. And this would be like, okay. Let's say data. This is where my, this is where I'm like, I don't remember exactly what I have to do here. Okay, but I know I got a result. Okay, and we got a T. Let underscore equal. There's what I was looking for. So, like, I did that, and then I could do the print ln data. Let underscore equal result dot unwrap. Oh, like down below that? Okay. So we've got like that. Let underscore equal result dot unwrap. Result not found, Owen. Result not found. Writing code that calls many functions that return the result. The error handler can be tedious. The question mark syntax hides some of the boilerplate, propagating errors back up the call stack. Replaces that. So I can just do like all right, you know what? It's throwing an error, but it doesn't matter. It's still working. All right, so we have an unused result, which must be used. Or we can do warn unused must use. I know there's something about this too. Yeah, the Rust documentation is actually really good. And there's a whole lot of it that I don't understand at the moment. But I am slowly learning what's going on in it. Which is fun and cool. It's really nice having something that I'm like, okay, I get what's going on there. I read this one earlier, and I remember that they had... That's it. So instead of warn, I want allow. And now I shouldn't get that error message. Yeah, so we didn't get an error message. So the reason the message is erroring, that sentence didn't make sense at all. The reason we're getting the error is because somewhere in here we have a thing that's returning a result, and a result is either okay or an error. And we are, we're not using one side of that. Or any sides of it, perhaps. And so Rust is like, hey, we've got values that you're not using. These values are like just floating around. So you need to use these. But right now we're telling Rust, we're like, hey, it's cool that we didn't use those things. Just let it go. It'll be fine. Okay, so okay, so we were able to make a request and we got a page. Cool. That's great. So what I want to do now, though, is I want to get JSON, and I want to read the JSON. So you see, implements Rust read trait, so many useful standard library, and third-party crates will have convenience methods to take a response anywhere. Treat is acceptable. That's cool. Thanks for doing that request. So now I want to see more about fetching JSON from it. So oh goody? What's oh goody, Owen? I have to try to remember how to do my... That's my key. Okay. That's my key. Okay, let's just hold on to that somewhere. Let key equal okay. The key's not gonna change, so that's fine. And then I have to try to remember how to do the thing. Current conditions in city. It's that. All right. Let URL equal that, where that should be my key. And can I take this, and how much of this can I drop out? Like, could I do Portland or.json? I can. Okay. Could I do like 97068.json? I can. Sweet. Okay. So then ct dot, that's going to be something else there. Serd. Yeah, I saw that Serd was in there in the stuff that got installed. So it's already there. I guess it's probably best to go ahead and list it as, you know, hey, you need to have this. So I'll do that. Serd JSON equals 1.0.1. Congratulations, Serd JSON, on getting past stuff. What do you want to do? Something popped up. Okay, whatever. Okay, so now we have Serd in there. So extern create Serd JSON. And blah, blah, blah. Okay. Okay, so I want to bring in use Serd JSON, and I want to bring in the value and the error class thingies. Okay. And then let's do this. So this should be URL and key and see if that does anything that I want it to do. We'll find out. Yeah. That failed. Okay. So I'm guessing I'm going to need to do... Check the imports there. I need all 3 crates. Okay. So I also need ser derive. And I also need ser itself. Okay. So then we have a point that does this. Macro use. So I'm assuming that means we're going to use macros from that. Each of them provides different macros and traits. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Okay, so I need to do Rust string format, not rest. Oh, that's going to take forever to fix my muscle memory on. Okay, so format will let me... Okay. So, no, that's not going to be what I want. I want format on this side. Okay, let that compile some stuff. So, SAP Helper, hi, welcome to the stream. We're playing with the language Rust today. Right now, we're trying to build a thing that will just print out the current temperature in a certain location, and that's all. Expected one of because I forgot my semicolon because I'm a Python programmer. Format argument must be a string literal. To string? Must be a string literal. Okay, so here... Is this going to be something that I have to do as ref? Nope. Let's look up Rust as ref. Okay. I just need to know how to do string formatting for Rust. Ryan, I do not know Go. I will most likely at some point learn Go, at least a little bit of Go, but not today. Yeah, no, Go is a neat language. It's just not not a language that I know. Format is, yeah. Owen, format looked like the right one, but format was giving me nothing but trouble. So because I've got URL here, right? Let compiled URL equal format URL key 97068. I'm assuming this is going to error out the same way. Yeah. So it's expecting a format argument to be a string literal. Is that not a string literal? Okay, yeah. Tell me what you would do, Owen. Help me out here. What do we got? Because that, like, to my little Python mind, this is the way that it would be done. Just use the string literal in format. Oh, like... Why did I just do that? There we go. Oh, it's not string, it's toString. Doesn't know how to turn a string into a URL. Yes, Nick, I'm very rusty. It's required by the compiler for this to be a string literal. It cannot be a variable passed in or perform validity checking. Well, that's just stupid. Okay. That's fine, I guess. I don't think asref is going to do what I want. Type annotation is required. Cannot resolve that into request into URL. Yeah, that makes sense. So I couldn't do like and URL there because it doesn't know what it's doing. But could I do? Probably not. Yeah, because it doesn't know what's going on there. So then format. That makes like no sense. Yeah. So how was it that it worked with a hard-coded URL, right? Like when we just had something like that. Yeah, now I have unused variables. Okay. Okay. use URL : URL. Yep, okay. So then this would be URL : parse URL. Maybe missing an extern crate. Yeah, it could be. Can't find crate. Yeah. It would be helpful if you... all of your examples just have use URL, and then that fails. Unresolved import URL. Even though that says use URL. Yeah, I think URL might be a separate crate. Let's search for it. Yeah, it looks like there's a URL. Okay. So we'll add that. 1.4.0. And then extern crate URL. Okay. So it looks like this one needs the unwrap on it. Expected a URL string. Hey, check that out. We got something. We got a bunch of errors, but we got something. We got the errors because we didn't use these things. Okay. We're one step further, everybody. All right, so that gives me that content. I want to turn that content into JSON, which should be able to do here. Okay. So I'm going to guess that I can do v as a value equals shared JSON from string, and we'll put in resp.read to string. Comment that stuff out. And then I want to do println that, and then I want to put in v current observation. Character literal may only... Oh. Yep. Got to use double quotes. Okay, so it expected that, and it got that instead. Okay, so let's go back to this. And inside here, let's do content. Expected and string, found string. Okay. So as str. Oh, I think I see. Maybe? So from reader ought to work for from reader, and that should work for rsp.read to string. No? Okay, let's just not worry about that. Let's go back to here. I don't care that IntelliJ is ready to update IntelliJ. See, what I don't get is, like, what they have here is not working. Don't forget it's looking for a reference. Sorry, Owen, I'm lost on that bit. Oh, that only works when I'm inside of something. Okay. All right, so let's try doing this with a function instead. Let's make get temp, and this is going to be a zip, which will be and string, and we're going to return something. Can we just return nothing for now? Okay, so then okay, let's return okay, I want to show this response real quick. I'll just return U32. Okay, and then I want to return V conditions. Oh, gotta take out that semicolon. So then let temp equal get temp, print line that temp. Sweet. Okay, so that all broke. Obscure is not implemented for U32, so instead we found this value. So what if I was to return value instead? Okay, but now we still have that ops carrier isn't implemented for that in this macro invocation. Could this need to be shared JSON there? No. Okay, can I just, inside here, let me print line content. I just want to see what it's getting. Although that's not going to compile, so that doesn't matter. Hey, Brendan. Yeah, I think Treehouse is great for learning front-end web development. I don't know if he's still in the chat or not, but Nick Pettit was on here earlier. He does a lot of our front-end content. Or did. I guess Gil does a lot of it now. Don't use the literal T. Yeah, I figured that part out now. And Octavian, I'm using IntelliJ. Okay, so I want to do something like this. So I'm just going to rip off what they're doing. So result that or error. Some JSON input, and then we call the print line thing there, and then in the end we do OK with an empty container inside of it. Okay, which means I probably just need to call get temp instead of that stuff. And then ideally here I would have print ln something there, and then that, and then a semicolon. Okay, so macro use, it was complaining about because I didn't use any of the macros, and then I didn't use that thing. Nick's still here creeping. All right, so if you have any front-end questions at all, ask Nick, because that's all he does. He does nothing but front-end. Ignore all the C# and game dev that he does. He simply does the other stuff. And yeah, I know it's not actually an empty container, it's unit. But that's weird. So, whatever. Okay, so unused result, which must be used, but it returned just a unit, so it's not actually an unused result. So here I want value, and so I could just return, that, right? And then here do like let temp equal that, and then print ln bang something there, and let's do temp. Where was that? So response, that's features, that closes response. Current observation should be 1. Wait, not there. Current observation. Can I index a value of type result? I have to wrap with OK to make it a result. Consider removing the semicolon. Yeah, I'll do that because I keep forgetting the semicolon. Okay. Can I index a value of type that or that? We got that working. Got that working. Closing that. Okay, so here we have, it's either sending back a unit or it's sending back error, and we send back the unit at the end there. We send back the OK. But then that is value. Okay, let me just try this again. And then I want to return current observation. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Okay. I see what you're doing. Okay, and then do the debug thing. Current observation cannot move out of the... He is teaching via chat. Yeah, because I don't know what I'm doing on this one. Okay, so I feel like I've just hit the borrower. And I know the borrower does fun stuff. So I kind of feel like I need to go and learn a bunch more before I start trying to do this again. But what better way to learn than live on camera, right? Right, everybody? So, right, so that hands it back. You ran into this on our animated clip system? Okay. So yeah, the problem is that we have this like scope thing, right? Where we can't move this. What does that mean, Rust? What does that mean? Okay. When you use an index operator, so brackets, you get the actual object at the index location. You do not get a reference pointer or copy. Since you try to bind that object with a let binding, Rust immediately tries to move or copy if the copy trade's implemented. So you either need to use a let ref binding, or you take a pointer to the object. Okay, so that's getting the actual object, and that can't come out of the indexed content. So could I do like let ref current equal v current observation? And then what I want to do in here is send back current. Expected an enum of value, and it found a reference. Okay, well, let's just send back whatever that is. Can't do that. Okay. Let's, okay, so let's do this. Let's do that. And then print line, whatever's there. And instead of that, we'll do OK and send back a blank thing. Okay. Yeah, macro use it doesn't like. Oh, I want to take out that. I don't want it to print content anymore. Okay, so that sends us back this thing, right? This big long string. We're getting something. We're getting something. Okay, so now I want to look at. Excuse me. I want to look at this thing. current observation. There's where image opens and closes. So display location opens and closes. Observation location opens and closes. I want temperature string. I want weather too, but I want temperature string. Let's get that for now. So current observation temperature string. And let's run that. Macro use is going to complain about, that's fine. And then we got that string. Cool. Okay. So we got the string. That's nice. Can I just print current? I'm pretty sure current is a string. No. Of course not. Why would I be able to do that? Could I do this with like 2str? No. It expected a literal. Nope. Okay. That's cool. I have to do it like this. That's fine. Okay. So we're getting something, right? We got our temperature string. We got the stuff that we were looking for. It doesn't like this macro use because we're not using any macros from it, which that's fine. But that crate has no... Okay. So if I have that there, then you're going to complain. So then I need to do allow unused imports. And now you won't complain. It feels weird making a language that's so struct be quiet. Or so strict. It's not so struct, it's so strict. It feels weird telling that language it has to be quiet, but at the same time, I don't care. That doesn't work because it doesn't know what trim is. Gotcha. Okay, so we could return the value, but then we have to deal with the whole borrowing indexing thing. Right? So let's see if I make this a value and I return current and not okay, or I have to do okay current. What does that do? Expected a reference, or expected a value found a reference. Okay. So could this be and value? Whew. That doesn't live long enough because it dies. Okay. So let's go look at a thing that I remember Owen telling me I would never figure out. He didn't actually say I'd never figure it out. I had a feeling I'd never figure it out. And that is lifetimes. So lifetimes. So there's a neat thing in Rust where things live for a certain amount of time and they can only be used while they're alive. And the reason for that is to avoid something like hanging around for a long time and living and using up memory. So we can provide things to a certain lifetime. So like here we can do like and a, or quote a is the lifetime. And then we can do quote a there. Let's see what that does. Okay, so that didn't do what I wanted. So now I need to look at... I know I can tell it to use that somewhere else. Let's try that. Let's try it with static. V doesn't live long enough. Or that one doesn't live long enough because we're not doing anything with it. Expected a reference, found that. Nope. In this case, V doesn't live long enough because the borrowed value dies once it gets out of there. Borrowed value must be valid for the static lifetime. Okay, that makes sense. I don't know how to fix this, though. So, we got a few minutes left. Let's do questions and such. As I get this back to a state where it kind of sort of worked. So yeah, so if y'all have questions, post them. I see a couple sitting there in the chat, and I will address those. So let's see. Nick also seconds my recommendation of learning front end at Treehouse. No surprise there. He'd probably also recommend learning game development there if you want to do Unity or VR stuff. So, you know, there's that. There's a little plug for you, Nick. Nick has done some amazing VR and Unity stuff, and I need to go take it because Dark Dev keeps bugging me to learn C# and Unity. And eventually I will do what the people in chat ask. So Octavian says, when do you think is a good idea to start learning back-end web development? Once you want to do back-end web stuff. It really just depends on what it is that you're wanting to do, right? If you just want to deal with the UI, the front end of a website, then you don't ever need to learn back-end web dev. At some point, you're probably going to need to learn to work with back-end web dev, but you don't have to learn back-end web dev itself, right? Like, you don't have to go and learn PHP or Java or Python or whatever. If you do decide that you want to learn that stuff, though, learn it when you need to learn it, and often you want to learn it fairly soon, because you will start to change how you do web development based on what parts of web development you know. Especially, like, if you learn how to build APIs, then you start writing your, say, front-end JavaScript more towards an API slant, to where you're paying attention to, like, oh, well, this is going to be dealing with JSON. I need to be able to send this in here and pull this back out here, and I need to always include a CSRF token in my forms and whatever kind of stuff you're doing. So it changes how you write your front-end code, or at least the thinking behind writing your front-end code. So, yeah. Hey, Vedran, how are you doing? Welcome to the last little bit of the stream. But yeah, so if you've got questions, send me questions. I'm happy to answer them for the next little bit. I think I'm going to stop on Rust for today. Rust. Wow, how many times have I done that? I think I'm going to stop on Rust for today. I got to learn a lot more about this, but I'm going to play with it and see what I can do, because I'd like to get this working, and probably cover it again next week. We'll probably do some more Rust, but maybe not. I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on this. Leave comments on the video, or send me messages in chat, or tweet at me, or whatever, because I don't always want to do Python. Sometimes I want to play with other stuff. And if y'all would like to learn languages along with me, then that's cool. We can play with, Rust and Lua and C# maybe, and Go and Clojure and whatever. Because I wanna play with a lot of different languages. I am not as big of I gotta experiment with programming languages as some people are, but I definitely like playing around with different programming languages. And they're neat to play with. They're fun to play with. So yeah, let me know what you all think of doing Rust stuff, or even just non-Python stuff. So if you wanna, if y'all want me to do JavaScript things or game development things or whatever, let me know. Because I want y'all to enjoy watching it as much as I enjoy making it. So cool. So yeah, anybody else? What other questions? Yeah, Vedran, the beard's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. I could shave it, but why bother at this point? That seems silly. Rust isn't based on any language. Rust is its own language. It obviously borrows a lot from C, and it's a pretty good replacement for C in a lot of places because it runs at basically the same speed as C. Maybe a little slower, but about the same speed as C. But it's nicer to write and look at, and has a nicer compiler. So yeah, Rust comes from Mozilla, so they've been using Rust for a lot of backend stuff, and it's been around for going on 10 years now. I want to say it's a fairly old language. I was a little surprised at how old Rust actually is. Yeah, Rust has been around. Oh no, 7 years. Sorry, it's been around since 2010. So yeah, it's a pretty cool language. It's neat. It's fun. It's also complicated. There's a lot of knowledge required for Rust that I don't have as a completely self-taught programmer that started with higher level, simpler languages like PHP and JavaScript. So there are concepts that I don't yet understand in Rust. And if you watch this, y'all saw them pop up today where it was like, okay, I'm not sure how to do this thing. But eventually I figured it out, and that's all that matters. Except that I didn't in the end because we have this thing that's not working. But you know what? It's good enough for now. Hey, Critical Toxic, how are you doing? You're here for the last 10 minutes. Congratulations on making it here at all. So yeah. So yeah, how did y'all like Rust and playing with Rust? It's the most loved programming language for the 2 years running. People that use it absolutely love using it. So it's worth checking out just for that, to see like what's so impressive about the language to other people. Because lots of times you don't see that yourself. New Deep, is it platform independent? Yeah, it will run on, you can see here under OS, it'll run on all 3 major OSs. It'll run on FreeBSD. And apparently there's even Android and iOS versions. I haven't ever tried running Rust on iOS or Android, but apparently you can do that. And Vedrick, you would use it for building things that run at the system level, right? So if you need to do calculations like directly on the CPU or the GPU, if you need to do stuff dealing with ports, if you need to do stuff dealing with processes, Rust is really handy for that because it runs at a low level. But you can use it for building basically anything you want. It's concurrent. It's thread safe. Like, it loves all that kind of stuff. It's really good with memory. So you can kind of go build whatever you want with it. There's GUI libraries and game libraries for it. There's web frameworks popping up for it. There's all kinds of things going on with Rust. So you can kind of do what you want. It's like, Python or Java or Go. Like, you can kind of just do whatever with them. All right. So, cool. I hope to see you all back next week. I'm a couple minutes early, but I don't really have a lot else to talk about, and there's not a lot of questions. So we'll wrap it up a little short this week. But yeah, I definitely encourage all of you to go and check out Rust. Go give it a try. It's pretty easy to install and get going. On Windows, I did have to make sure that I had the Visual Studio C or C++ bindings for compiling certain things. That wasn't everything for Rust. It was just, I think it was for linking the SDL libraries. I'm still here for a few more minutes. Critical Toxic. It's cool. Just hold on. So if you're doing linking with like SDL, things like that, you may need to install some extra build tools on Windows. But other than that, the rustup init file like handles all of the installation for you. And I think on Mac and Linux, it's as easy as using your package manager to install it. So, you know, if you use Homebrew or whatever, you can install it through those. So check out Rust, give it a try. Let me know what you think. I'd love to do at some point, maybe we have Treehouse content over Rust. Who knows? But if nothing else, I'll do another week or two of this, and we'll play with stuff. So yeah, that'll be fun. I will see you all next week. I'm always around. If you need to talk to me on Twitter, feel free to send me a tweet. Yeah, otherwise, I'll see you next week. Thanks a lot for coming by.